7 is really a good wine. It's funny because I think 1 is the Chateauneuf, but I think 7 is the better wine. Let's see. Wine number 2, 90 plus point.
I'm Matthew Horkey. For the last 7 years, I've traveled around the world tasting thousands of wines annually in search of the most unique, exciting, and expensive bottles on the planet.
When it comes to the Southern Rhône, Châteauneuf-du-Pape is often considered to be the king, but there are other crus in the Southern Rhône that are making excellent wines. There are 18 crus in the Rhône, 9 in the Northern Rhône, 9 in the Southern Rhône. Historically in France, Appellation wine is named by the village where it's from. Because to the French, it's all about terroir, the sense of place. Crus in the Rhône are villages that have historically produced high quality wines. To understand the cru system, you have to understand the Côtes du Rhône appellation, which I believe was formed in 1937. The winemaking restrictions are a little bit more lenient, so producers have room to play a little bit. In 1966, a Côtes du Rhône village appellation was introduced. These rules introduced smaller yields, which leads to wines of higher quality. Over the decades, some of the villages were producing excellent wines, and they were eventually given their own appellation. I think the newest cru in the Southern Rhône is Cairanne, which was established in 2016. Châteauneuf-du-Pape is a real old appellation. The yield restrictions in the vineyards are very low. That's why the wines are generally a little bit more concentrated. But recently, there have been crus in the Southern Rhône that are producing wines on par with Châteauneuf-du-Pape. To really know about wine, you have to travel, you have to go to the place. I remember the Rhône being so confusing when I just studied it in a book. But when I actually went there, started going to the different villages, it was a lot easier to associate everything in my head. There are 9 crus in the Southern Rhône. I have 6 of them here today to blind taste, plus a Côtes du Rhône village to see how it will stand up to the other crus. What I'm missing here is Baume de Venise, which is known historically for making a great sweet muscat, Vin Sauvé, and Tavel, which is dedicated to rosé. One grape variety that ties together all the crus of the Southern Rhône when it comes to red wines is Grenache. The appellation laws of most of these crus require at least 40%, sometimes at least 50% of Grenache to be introduced in the blend. Syrah, Mourvèdre, Carignan, Cinsault, Counois, a lot of other Rhône grape varieties are in the blends as well. Châteauneuf is a weird exception because you can make a Châteauneuf-du-Pape out of 100% of a single grape variety. You ready? Let's see if we can find a new king of the Southern Rhône. Big meaty GSMs, so we're tasting out of big glasses. These are my Rovsya wine glasses. These are the best and expensive wine glasses I've ever used. I found them on Amazon. They are burgundy glasses, but they work great with GSMs, big white wines. They're a lot more versatile than I thought. I'll put a link in the description box if you want to check them out. Helps the channel if you purchase them, so thanks a lot. I'm really excited to see if any of these wines stand up to Châteauneuf-du-Pape. I actually have my favorite producer of Châteauneuf-du-Pape in the flight here, and I want to see how it does blind. Wine 1 and 2. One thing I never really focused on was color, because to me you can't drink color, but when you're tasting blind it helps to identify the wine a little bit. I'm going to start using color a little bit more. These first 2 wines are a little bit later in color, so a little more Grenache dominant. Number 1 smells a little bit younger. Get a really nice strawberry, rhubarb, baked stones, crushed rock, pepper. Super complex wine. That is Southern Rhône to a T. That's an excellent wine to start. Let's go to wine number 2 here. Wine 2 smells a little bit simpler, so to speak. And what I mean by that, the fruit isn't as delineated, isn't as clear. If you're tasting 2 wines side by side and one has more powerful fruit, you'll notice it because you'll be able to pick out the fruit flavors, where this one, the fruit's a little bit more muddled. It's almost like if you have a fresh piece of fruit, one that maybe you just picked off the tree, versus that same kind of fruit that you bought from the supermarket. They just smell a little bit differently. It'd be funny if this is the Châteauneuf. It's just not as fruity. It's a little bit more leathery. It's not as concentrated compared to wine number 1, and definitely not as tannic. Wine 3 has a more Syrah likeness to it. What I mean, it's got more of that bramble fruit, a little bit darker black raspberry type flavors. Oh, wait a second. Now some baked strawberry comes out. These wines are complex. You have to shake them out. When you have complex wines, don't be afraid to really stick your nose in there. Go back to them a few times. It's more black raspberry, brambleberry than it is. There's maybe some baked strawberry, but number 1 was more red fruity. Number 3 is really smooth on the palate. Just kind of glides across the palate. There's some tannic grip at the end, but it's round. It's really smooth. Wine 4 is the most peppery, on top of maybe like a dried strawberry fruit snack. That's got a little bit of grip to it. This is gonna be hard. Wow, 5 really jumps out at me. 5 is the strongest aromatically, I think, so far. 1 and 5. Lots of strawberry, pierced cherry, just a touch of white pepper, not black pepper. It's got this leatheriness to it. I kind of wanted the finish to last a little bit longer because the nose was absolutely extraordinary. Wine 6 is leathery, like wine 2. But I think wine 6 is a little bit of a better wine than wine 2. Leathery, and it shows a little bit of wood. That, you know, the cool thing about Southern Rhône wines is you can drink them young. Robert Parker used to be in love with Chateauneuf de Pape because they're fruity wines you could approach young. Some of them can age, although I prefer to drink Chateauneuf on the younger side. A lot of times wines see old wood treatment or they're aged in concrete or in big vats. This is the one where I actually pick up wood. It's not saying it's a bad thing. Wine 7 is also a strong nose. Meat, pepper, it's the most concentrated. Maybe it's the Chateauneuf. I'm thinking 1 and 7 might be the Chateauneuf. Intense, structured, long, a little more dark fruit. 7 is really a good wine, whatever 7 is. It's funny because I think 1 is the Chateauneuf, but I think 7 is the better wine. But I'm just gonna go with my first instincts because when you blind taste, that's what you do. I'm confused because I thought I knew what the Chateauneuf was, but I think I preferred another wine a little bit more. So let's see, we could have a new king of the Southern Rhône in my little blind tasting. Let's start with wine number 2. Not as fruity, more leathery. Like I said, I thought it was a very good wine. It just wasn't as concentrated as the others. I noticed the difference. I think it's gonna be the Côtes du Rhône Village. If it's not, then, you know, let's see. Okay, wine number 2, 90 plus point. Oh shoot, that's the power of blind tasting, man. I gave it 90 plus points. I felt like it wasn't as concentrated. This is the Andre Brunel Chateauneuf de Pape Les Cailloux. This is historically one of my favorite Chateauneuf producers. I think it's insane value at 50 bucks. Mostly Grenache with some Syrah, Mourvedre, and Cinsault. 2020, maybe because it was a little bit more Grenache, that the wine felt a little bit more delicate. That is the power of blind tasting. That is shocking to me. This is a more delicate Chateauneuf de Pape. Andre Brunel doesn't have really high alcohol in the Chateauneufs, 14.5%, but to me that's shocking. This is number 6 as I picked up the wood a little bit more. I gave it 91 plus points. I'm still kind of thrown off by a wine I thought would have finished first. This is Maison Galuval. This is the Le Plan Côtes du Rhône Village 2019. 50% Syrah, 50% Grenache. Syrah's the grape can absorb a little bit more oak better. This comes in at 25 bucks. Okay, Côtes du Rhône Village. I mean, still took down a Chateauneuf. Number 4 and number 5, I have tied at 92 points. Number 4 was the one that I said it felt like pepper on dried strawberry fruit candy. Number 5, it was aromatically quite strong, a lot of white pepper type flavors. Remember I said I just wanted it, maybe the finish to be a little bit longer to move it into greatness, but still 92 points, really good wine. Let's start with 4, the pepper on dried fruit flavors. This is the Montirius, this is the Gigondas, Terre. This is $40, Grenache Mourvedre. This is a biodynamic wine, lovely producer. Gigondas and Chateauneuf de Pape are the only crus here that do not allow Cairanne to be blended. Gigondas also has different elevations. I think sometimes the vineyards can go up to 700, 800 meters. I've usually find the wines have more acidity, and Gigondas is the only cru that doesn't allow white wine at the moment, although that's about to change. This is an excellent producer. This isn't even our top Gigondas. 92 points, 40 bucks. I think it's outstanding wine. I had it tied with this one that was aromatically strong. The white pepper really came through. I just wanted a little bit of a longer finish. Let's check it out. This is the Domaine Brusset. This is the Rasteau, $37 US, 2021, the La Bastide. This is Grenache and Mourvedre. Nice showing for a village that I generally don't associate Rasteau as higher quality wines. That is just my subjective opinion. This shows that the wines can be excellent. Brusset is a very well-respected producer. 37 bucks is a little bit more expensive. I've seen a lot of Rasteau when you're in the Rhône for 10 to 15 euro range when you're in France. Rasteau is also one of those crus that's known for a Vendu Naturel or a fortified sweet wine, just like Baume de Venise. I'm still gathering myself from the Chateauneuf showing. Number 3. Syrah-like, it was extreme extremely smooth on the front end, more brambleberries. I gave it 92 plus points, so just edged out these wines just by a little bit. These Southern Rhône wines, it's a warmer Mediterranean climate, not gonna have as much acidity. Really smooth. I'm excited to see what this bad boy is. This is the Boisson, this is the Cairanne, Les Trois Terroirs. What a value, 22 bucks, blend of Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and Cairanne. The 3 terroirs, 22 bucks. 92 plus points. I think that's a heck of a bargain. The Syrah to me really showed through. Cairanne is a cru to me that it's the newest cru out of these. I'm not surprised that the Syrah showed through. Cairanne is a little bit on the northern edge of the Southern Rhône, if that makes sense. It's one of the places in the Southern Rhône that Syrah does pretty well, so I think a lot of producers use a lot of Syrah. That's why you get some of those flavors. Okay, the first wine I thought was Southern Rhône to a T. That is Southern Rhône to a T. That's an excellent wine to start. Let's go to wine number 2 here. Just had strawberry, meat, tannins. I thought it was pretty young. I thought it was really good. I gave it 93 points. I thought it was really some top notch stuff. Let's take a look here. And this is top. This is the Domaine de la Mordore. This is the Lirac La Reine de Bois. This is the top Lirac from their estate. This is regarded as one of the benchmarks when it comes to Lirac. It's right across the river from Châteauneuf de Pape. Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. This is biodynamic and this is organic. Good wine. That's one of the more expensive Liracs. One that I'm really impressed with is the Chateau Montredon. I think that wine is maybe 20 bucks in the US if you can find it. Their Lirac red and white I think are outstanding wines. This is right next to Tavel, the appellation that's dedicated to rosé, and I think Lirac wines are very good. Number 7, a little bit more darker fruit, not quite Syrah, but just more black raspberry fruit, the strong nose. And when I tasted 1 and 7 side by side, 7's the one that stood out. I gave it 94 points. I thought it was very good. Let's take a look here. This is the Montirius. This is the Vacqueyras Le Clos. 30 bucks, 50% Grenache, 50% Syrah. So again, that's why it's more dark fruit. Vacqueyras is a cru that's right near Gigondas. The wines are lesser priced than Gigondas. Gigondas, the prices are starting to climb up there into Châteauneuf levels. Vacqueyras, the whites and the reds, I think you can still get a lot of value for money. And 94 points, 30 bucks. Outstanding stuff. So tell me, do you like big meaty red wines? Do you have a favorite cru in the Southern Rhône besides Châteauneuf de Pape? Leave it in the comments below. Still shocked by the Châteauneuf, but that's how it goes. I'll see you soon.